Okay, welcome to What is Money Part 2. So, the one I forgot in the last video. So it was durability, scarcity, and money has to be difficult to obtain in order to actually function as money. So, what is money actually even used for? It's used for trading. Okay, trading, not spending. Spending, I don't even think should be a word. It doesn't make any sense in terms of the actual action. So when you have, what I discussed in the last video, what do you do with it? You trade it. You trade it for things that you don't have because you don't have the time to obtain everything that you need. Right? You worked hard to get, let's go back to our example. You worked hard to get this silver out of the ground. You dug your 6-foot hole, like we talked about, and you found one. You found a chunk that was an ounce. And now you have it. You spent all that time digging. Everyone else knows how hard it was to dig to get this thing. So, another action that took just as much work, you could trade for this, right? Maybe you planted tomatoes in the spring. And I don't know if a tomato plant, how much more difficult anyone would think that it is to grow a tomato plant, but it's probably not as difficult as digging the hole. So you grew your tomato plant and you trade this for 100 tomatoes or something. Well, we're thinking simply here. It's the 1700s, right? So you trade this for a tomato, or 100 tomatoes, because the amount of labor it took to make the tomatoes is about the same as it was to dig the hole. Trading labor for labor, or object for object, right? And I think that's how we get marketplaces. Ultimately, money is a reflection of how humans exist, materially. Money isn't everything, but it's important to know what it is so you don't get fooled by it. Or let people fool you about it. Yeah. It's a form of labor. It can be traded for other forms of labor. It's not just a physical object, right? Without human beings, what would this be worth? Maybe the monkeys would use it as money too. But if the monkeys didn't use it as money, and we weren't here, this would just be another thing in the ground, right? The other animals would get along without us. So, how have we devolved from what they used to call sound money, this sound money, to what we have now, paper money? I would say it's been a lot of manipulation along the way. It goes in phases. You start out with real things. You're trading real object for real object. And then, somewhere along the way, a bank will decide that they want to hold on to these for you. They're so heavy. Man, I just can't lug this thing around in my pocket. So what do I want? I want to go to a bank. I give them this piece of silver. It's in the bank now. They give me a piece of paper that says this. So I'm a banker now. You give me your silver, and I give you this. I owe you 1 ounce, sucker. But this IOU, as a banker, if you give me this back, The deal is, I'm supposed to give you the silver back. This is lighter, right? Fits in my pocket, it's really lightweight. I can trade it for other real things, and then they can trade this back to the bank. Back for the silver, right? In principle, what always happens? You tell me, what always happens? Mr. Bankman decides, I'll just make 1 billion of these and keep like some silver on hand, because most of the time people just trade these for real objects anyways, because nobody wants to carry around bags of this. So I'll just keep like 100 of these on hand in case someone wants a couple of them and nobody gets scared that I don't have any, and I'll make like 1,000 of these, and then I'll make another 1,000 just for myself. So I own all of this worthless, not worthless, but essentially worthless paper, and I'll keep all the actual store of value for myself. Maybe that's not the right way of looking at it. I'll make a bunch of these so I can trade for real things. I won't have a lot of this on hand. Just enough to keep up the illusion that you can trade this 1 for 1 with this. That's basically how banking started. On a silver-backed currency, which the US had until, I think it was the 60s. So, maybe it was gold. Yeah, I think they got rid of the silver standard in the early 1900s, and then they got rid of the gold standard in the 60s. But anyways, what we have now is, all we have is these. You don't even trade it back for anything. So where's the labor? Where's the actual value? There is none. It's a mountain of bullshit. A house of cards. So we have fake things exchanging for real things. And that can work for a little while people still have faith in the old system, because everything seems okay. But it's really only a matter of time before things unravel. Because it doesn't cost anything to make this. So it's only a matter of time before the people with the actual products start to say, I don't want this. And when you have so many of these, they're going to demand more and more and more, because there's no trust here. There's nothing real there. There's no hard work there. So what happens next? Well, now they're going to try and give you cryptocurrency, but it's not going to be like Bitcoin or anything like that. It's going to be another centrally controlled currency. So what do you do to defend yourself? You store your labor in other labor. Store your labor here. Or better yet, and leave a comment below, what do we do? What other forms of labor are undervalued right now that we can put our real labor into? Because when I get paid in these, actually, I get paid in these now. Since we don't have silver certificates, we don't have IOUs, we got you owe me's. You get paid in you owe me's. And you don't want that shit. So how do we take our you owe me's and how do we get something like this? You could buy silver. You could. And I think there's a lot of reason to do so. There's a reason that silver is supposed to defend against vampires. And it's pretty freaking creepy. Because a lot of the elites, you know, down through the ages, they are involved in these blood bloodletting rituals, like, you know, look up Elizabeth Bathory, the queen who had a bunch of cute, like, young lady servants, and then she'd kill them and bathe in their blood. I wonder if this one did that. Queen Elizabeth. Who knows? Could be. But the reason that silver defends against vampires is because how did they get this from you? They have to break into your house, right? They have to break into your house and take it from you. And you know what you do? I'm going to lose this right after I'm done making this video. I'm going boating. Right? It's easy to hide. But what other things? Because in the past, there have been gold and silver confiscations, and that's what worries a lot of people. So how do we work around that? Leave a comment below, right? I don't know. Maybe get something. Get something of value. Don't keep your UOMEs. Don't keep them. They're trash. Maybe you do buy silver, maybe you do buy gold, but these are the obvious things. They know you want to do. They know people are going to do this. The elites who make the UOMEs, they know that people flock to these. And mark my words, if enough people get into gold and silver, there will be confiscations. If it threatens their power, they will try to take it from you. That's what they do. That's what governments do. They don't want you to live a free life. They don't want you to keep what you've earned. They don't want you to have the ability to trade freely. They want their cut. And how would you tax this? Right? How would you tax this? Who's going to give this to the government for free? Nobody cares about this. That's why we pay taxes in this. You don't notice. You'd notice if it was this. Because you're giving away reality here. You're just giving away a fiction with this. Fiction. I don't know. What do? You get American Girl dolls or something? Something weird that's so niche that if you put your money into it. I'll tell you what the rich people do. They buy art. They buy weird art. They buy expensive art. And they don't buy it because they like art. They buy it to just store their wealth there. Maybe you buy art. I don't know. But art isn't very liquid. This is liquid. What do I mean by that? You trade it easy. If you bought American Girl dolls or art, you got to find someone who wants that. You don't go to the grocery store you don't go with this either. You can go to Canada and buy something with this. This is still legal tender. It's another myth that people tell me, oh, you'll get a lot of this. If you're if you're a person who believes that they should be able to keep what they produced, you go, I can't buy a gallon of gas with this. I can't eat it. I can't buy genetically modified soy protein bars with this. That's so stupid. You get a lot of knee-jerk reactions. People feel very strongly about things that they don't understand. And they will sound like that, trust me. But you can. If I was in Canada, I could go buy whatever, $2 worth of this. But it would be better to sell it for the silver content. Obviously. Because this used to be $2. Now it's 10, 20 times that. When you trade it for the silver content, not for the face value. Right? Where was I going with that? Maybe I just make fun of Dave Ramsey for the rest of the video, because Dave Ramsey, here's the thing. He got me out of the woods financially. I've watched a lot of his videos and I read one of his books. And he makes a lot of good points. You don't buy a fancy car. You don't try and keep up with your neighbor. You don't take on debt because you're going to be paying back so much in interest. But you watch a video of him talk about gold. Oh my God. It's like watching someone who's brain dead. He makes no sense. First thing he says, gold is a yellow rock, right? Gold is a yellow rock. I don't buy wheat. I don't buy corn. I don't buy biscuits and gravy. I put all my money in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and income producing real estate, because gold is a yellow rock. Fuck him. Yellow rock. Oh my God. It's not a rock. It's a metal, for starters. Second of all, it's not even yellow. It's gold. There's a color named after it. He would rather you invest in stupid paper derivatives. Not even the fucking paper. He wants you to buy, like, derivatives of this. Mutual funds. It's all based on this system, the debt system. And Dave Ramsey, his get out of debt thing is good. It's helped a lot of people. It's helped me. But in terms of wealth preservation, his perspective is like, it's small-minded. And the fact that he is so biased against it. I mean, it's like he won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, which makes me very suspicious and kind of, I question, why does he feel so strongly about it? It's not like, yeah, even mainstream financial advisors, planners, they'll be like, yeah, I'm not supposed to say this, but having some of your wealth in gold and silver is a good idea. It's historically always been your safe haven. Makes sense. Dave Ramsey won't touch it. It's like kryptonite to him. And when something this good and real and whole, durable, scarce, hard to obtain, that's what money is. Mutual fund, not scarce, not durable, not hard to obtain. They're made up. So are stocks. You know what a stock is? A stock is more or less another fiat currency that a business created to give you the illusion that you're part of the business. Stocks are a way for companies to get money to spend on their business. I'm not totally against stocks. I've invested a little bit, but what they are is, okay, say I'm a business. I'm a small business or not a very good business, and I need more money. I invent a stock for my business. I go public. Maybe I should just talk like Dave Ramsey. I go public and I sell parts of my company for working capital. Right? No, I'm not going to talk like him the whole time. But basically, you make something up. You make up your stock. Cost is minimal. It's paperwork. You make up the paperwork. You issue stock. You sell stock to investors. They give you these. They give you those. You give them the stock. They have a percentage of the company now. And now the business has UOMEs that they trade for other things, for labor, for, you know, I don't know, whatever the company is, buildings, rent, utility bills, wages, you name it. They use some of that money to pay for it. And then the stocks get traded for other things on other exchanges. And if the business does well, these stocks, which the company made out of thin air, that's why I say they're similar to a currency, because they're issued via paperwork. It's just the king decrees that your company now has stock. So you get to create this monopoly money that's traded for other monopoly money. That's why it's just so silly. You just can't even wrap your head around it. Once you start to just realize what all that is, it just seems very fake. Like it's very unbased. And you say the stock market's doing well, but what is the stock market? It's a bunch of companies that made up their own trading cards, basically, that they can issue for nothing. And the benefit is, here's where the benefit is, and why I think on some level I get why stocks exist. It's because if you're a small company with a great idea, great motivation, great people, and all you are lacking is just financial resources, and you get those financial resources by issuing a stock, people invest in you. They take that risk because your stock could go to zero. You take that money and you make something better out of it. You trade it for something, and then your insight, your labor, your motivation, your will create something better out of those materials. The world's a better place. The value of your stock goes up, and those investors who took that risk on you get a return, because now this stock is more valuable. Right? So on some level, stocks are, you're buying another IOU. You're not supposed to see my head. It's another form of IOU. And it just goes to kind of show you how far away from real worth that the stock market is. It's so far away from it. It's like 2 layers away. You got a stock, it's traded for fake money. Fake money's traded for real money. Sounds like a kid song. Stocks traded for the fiat money, and the fiat money's traded for real money. Like that. I don't know why I swallowed a fly song. And there's even deeper layers than stocks. And I don't understand those layers either. And frankly, you could go on and on. Options or whatever. So, I guess kind of the conclusion is, don't get fooled. Don't get duped. Well, what's the point of this video? The point of this video is how it's almost what is money, but also how do you use this information in order to better your life and be more aware, be more conscious of what you're doing. Because you're trading your labor every day. if you have a job. A lot of people don't even have a job anymore. They get you owe me's from unemployment. So you're trading fake labor for fake money. How long is that going to last? Not very long. So say you do have a job though. You go to work. Your labor, they pay you in fake money. You trade your fake money that you worked for. Find something to put it into. Something to trade, not to spend. Because in that way, you'll be able to retain some of that. You won't have to work so hard. Your life will be better. And you know, a lot of people, if once you start to understand money and you kind of want to exit the game almost, you don't really want to be in it, there's going to be people who don't like you, and they think you're all about money. But it is a little bit of a rabbit hole to go down, because you can't be shallow and understand what it is. You have to kind of dig deep in order to understand what exactly is even going on. Why do I live paycheck to paycheck? Why does it seem like the instant I get this stuff, it evaporates? It's because it wasn't real to begin with. And you probably weren't saving effectively, or you weren't investing it effectively. I have done that many times. And think of the words we use when we talk about money. Spending money. What's the definition of that? What do you do when you spend something? Let's look up the definition. Spend. To use up or put out. To wear out, exhaust. That's what it means to spend. You just exhaust your things. Don't spend your money. You trade it. Right? This is your labor. Right here. You worked for this. You trade it out. You either keep it or you trade it. Or, better yet, you give it to someone who can't obtain it for themselves. Because there's a lot of people out there like that. That's charity. Different from welfare. Welfare is coercion. Charity is one of the best virtues that you can have. The idea that you give labor to someone who needs it, who can't give it, who can't produce for themselves, that's almost a divine act. One of the closest things to a divine act I can think of, because something happens to someone who didn't otherwise have the ability. It's there's something very otherworldly about that. Because in a perfectly, fair world, wouldn't that person just lose? Don't they just not have then? But no, as human beings, we recognize the need of people less fortunate than ourselves. Not to be confused with welfare. Welfare is coercion. It's a different... They try and make you think it's the same thing. Welfare is not charity. Welfare is encouraging people to not produce for themselves. Charity is giving to those who need it. That's why there's kind of a shame culture around charity. At least there was. People watch a movie from the 50s. I don't need your damn charity, right? When you give to someone, it means that they are in need. People didn't want to be in need. They wanted to be in a position where I can produce for myself. Now, it's gimme, gimme, gimme. I want your shit. I don't want to work for it. I want you to give it to me. You owe me. It's an entitlement mentality. And in a free society, free societies tend to produce plenty. So if you're not getting for yourself, it's your own fault, or you're unable to. That's in like a relatively free society. In what we have now, we have artificial scarcity. So a lot of people can't produce for themselves because of regulation. I mean, they've shut down the economy for like 2 years. They've forced all these people to close their small businesses because of a SARS virus that 99% of people survive. They make you shut down your business because of this. So, how... losing my train of thought here. So we live in a controlled economy now. And they, you know, most people, and I've said this before, most people will be broke by the time they don't call this a conspiracy theory. Like, they're shutting down the economy to take money from you, to make you weaker so they can control you more easily. It's a form of tyranny. That's why that word exists. Tyranny, tyranny. Tyrannical people. Those who just want power for the sake of power. They want to be able to dictate to you how you live your lives. That is a tyrant. There are tyrants coming to power. It's a great word. I'm glad it exists. Because anytime you would talk about something like this and you're not using the word, some schmuck is going to call you a conspiracy theorist because you're actually aware of your surroundings and you have enough historical perspective to understand how these things typically go. So tyrants are coming to power. They want to shut down your business, and they use like some slick marketing tactic, like, "Ooh, you know, we wouldn't want people to get sick," and even say, if you just say what they're doing in like a mafia voice, it starts making a lot more sense. So, hey, you know, Joe, you got this deli, and you know, I'd hate to have someone catch COVID when they come into your store, you know what I mean? And, you know, you better let our major corporation deal with all the meats in this business now, and I highly recommend that you shut down your business for a while. Wouldn't want anything to happen to you. You know, like, we drag you out in handcuffs and throw you in a cell for simply trying to provide for your own family. We would hate for that to happen. That's what they're doing, more or less. And, I don't know. So many people now are just so naive. It's been too good for too long, I think. And, well, if people decide to shut their eyes and bury their heads in the sand, well, unfortunately, the people who aren't are going to get dragged along with this, which is the sad part. When dumb people are running the show and calling the shots, the good people get dragged down with the ship. So, if you're watching this and you got this far, you're smart enough to know the ship's going down. So, prepare as much as you can. You're also smart enough to know that part of the reason that COVID has resulted in lockdowns is to advance an agenda that existed long prior to this. They want a cashless society. They want to give you a new fake currency that so they can monitor all your transactions electronically, and you're no longer able to do business with anyone without a third party knowing about it. That's the reason. That's one of the reasons. And they use the fact that COVID is a hygienic hazard, right? Oh, I sneezed on my $100 bill and now I'm going to go exchange it for some cheeseburgers. I wouldn't want all those boogers to get all over the register. Everyone might catch COVID. So that's the kind of crap they make up to justify their actions. And you got to read between the lines here. I was fortunate enough, if you were into shortwave radio or, a lot of these alternative media sources over the years, you caught wind that the government wants to go to a cashless society for their own reasons. It's not for you. It's not for your life to be easier. I hate to break it to you. That gives another little insight to the human condition. I think human beings today are the only creatures that honestly believe that someone is out there looking out for them. Not only do we not have any predators, people are actually looking out for us and being our benevolent daddy and making rules for us for our own protection. Right? What a crock. What a crock. That's how children think. Because for children, that's true. They have parents. But when you're an adult, the world is your parent. The world is your parent and God is your parent. Or whatever you believe. Those are your parents now. The government's not your dad. Or your mom. You don't get an allowance anymore. Sorry. If you're really in need, they might throw you a bite out of compassion. And on some level, some of the government programs, they do aid those who are in need, but by and large, they do cause a lot of problems too. So yeah, I think that's rant over here. So now we know what money is. We know how it's used. And we ranted a lot about the stock market. Have a good night, everyone.